Welcome back to the second part of One Man's Faith tonight. Now let's turn over to Hebrews, to our study that we've been going on now for the past 6 or 7 weeks. Hebrews chapter 7. Hebrews chapter 7, starting with verse 1, says, "For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham as he was returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham apportioned a tenth of all the spoils, was first of all, by the translation of his name, King of Righteousness, and then also King of Salem, which is King of Peace, without father, without mother, without genealogy, without having neither beginning of days or end of life, but made like the Son of God, he remains a priest perpetually." Okay, so 7 opens up talking about Melchizedek. Now that we're picking up right off of the end of chapter 6, where it says that when Jesus has entered as a forerunner for us, having become a high priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. And now we get to see a little bit about who Melchizedek was. First of all, Melchizedek, that name, that noun, is probably a title, not a name. Melchizedek. Melch, M-E-L-C-H, is part of the term Melech, which means king. And Zedek, the Z-E-D-E-K, is the word for righteousness. So Melchizedek is the term king of righteousness, which is what we see in verse 2. He says, "For by the translation of his name, King of Righteousness." So it's a title. Melchizedek is a title. There's several times that titles are used. Another one would be Abimelech, A-B-I-M-E-L-E-C-H. That is Abimelech. So he's the king of Abi. Okay, and so we see that in the Word of God. So Melchizedek is a title. It's possible, and many believe, that Melchizedek was actually Noah's son Shem. All right. Whoa, boy, I just threw a curveball in there, didn't I? Well, listen, we don't have time to go into it, but if you would go back and look at the genealogy from Noah, and you'll see that the length of time and when things occurred puts Shem being alive on the earth during the same time period that Abraham was. And so it's a possibility. And so therefore, he would have really, in a sense, no genealogy, because Noah would have been it. Everything before Noah was gone. And so it's possible by saying without father, mother, without genealogy, it's not so much making Melchizedek a eternal creature, but that nobody knows where he came from. But he was a man of righteousness. He was a priest of some sort. Okay? And undoubtedly, God ordained him to be a priest, because we now have the order of Melchizedek, which really came before the order of Aaron. All right, see, Abraham, you got to understand, you got Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, whose name turned to Israel, who had the 12 sons that eventually became the 12 tribes, one of those being Levi. So Melchizedek is Jerusalem, the city of peace. Now, how do we get Salem as peace? Well, it's a form of the word shalem, which is a form of the word shalom, which means peace. And so Melchizedek is king of righteousness. Jerusalem, or Salem in this case, is peace. And that's what he tells us here. He's also the king of Salem. He's actually the king of Shalom. He's the king of the city of Salem, or Jerusalem. Okay? And so that is the city of peace. All right, so he's the king of peace. So this is, in a sense, who Melchizedek is. Okay? And he goes on, and now he gives us a comparison between the order of Aaron and the order of Melchizedek. Two separate orders. Verse 4 says, "Now observe how great this man was, to whom Abraham, the patriarch, gave a tenth of the choice spoils. And those indeed of the sons of Levi who received the priest office have commandment in the law to collect a tenth from the people, that is, from their brethren." Okay? Although these are descended from Abraham. All right, so what he's going on, he's going to tell us that that Levi tithed to Melchizedek through Abraham, because he was in his loins. He was still part of Abraham, and therefore Levi tithed. You know, there is this order of things where the sins of the father can be passed down. Well, there are other things that can be passed down, like what we see here. Since Abraham tithed, in essence, Levi tithed. And so by Abraham giving, Levi gave. That's what's being said here. But the one whose genealogy is not traced from them collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed the one who had the promises. See, Melchizedek was a totally different person. He wasn't, well, he couldn't be of a tribe because the tribes weren't even there yet. Even though the tribes were in Abraham, those tribes gave to Melchizedek. So he is a higher order of things. Now, let me digress, because I forgot to do this. When did Abraham meet Melchizedek? It's interesting. It says here that he met Abraham in verse 1 as he was returning from the slaughter of the kings. To me, that's just an interesting term that is put there. The slaughter of the kings. What's he talking about? Well, we have to go to Genesis chapter 14. Genesis chapter 14. And we have the story where there were 5 kings against 4 kings. Okay? There were 5 kings. There was Amraphel, Arioch, Chedorlaomer, Tidal, and Bera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, they're the 5. No, Tidal. Okay, no, the 4. Amraphel, Arioch, Chedorlaomer, and Tidal. Those 4 kings came against Bera, the king of Sodom, Bersha, the king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemeber. I'm not going to say these names anymore after this. And Zeboim, the king of Bela. Okay, we have the 4 kings against 5 kings. Now the 5 kings came under the 4 kings. They were kind of subjugated under those 4, and it says that for 12 years these 5 kings served Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled, and in the 14th year Chedorlaomer, it's a weird name. You'll have to look at it. That's the only way you can. And the other 4 went and they defeated the Rephaim. Now the